Hello students, welcome to Bhosla Military School. Today we are going to learn the paraphrase of the poem Where the Mind is Without Fear, written by Rabindranath Tagore. Let's see an introduction of the author. Rabindranath Tagore was born in Calcutta, now it is known as Kolkata. The poem Where the Mind is Without Fear has been taken from his Nobel-winning collection of poems Gitanjali, a profoundly sensitive, fresh and beautiful verse. It was originally written in Bengali and later translated into English by Rabindranath Tagore himself. He was the first non-European to win the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1913. Let's read out the poem. Then line by line, I'll explain the meaning of the poem. Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls. The poem Where the Mind is Without Fear has been written by the poet in the form of a prayer to the Almighty God for the purpose of true freedom of his country. The poet wishes for his country to be free from the oppressive rule of the colonizers, that means from the Britishers. Once the country is free, everybody would live fearlessly and have faith in themselves. Because whenever we are very confident, whenever we are free from any oppressive rules, at that time, our head is held high. Means our body postures denotes the confidence within us. And that's why the poet is also of the mind that once the country is free, everybody would live fearlessly and have faith in themselves. The poet visualizes a nation where knowledge is accessible to one and all, since knowledge and education alone will lead the people from darkness to light. The poet also believes that knowledge and education is the key of all the progress. And that's why knowledge should be accessible. Knowledge must be accessible to one and all, as the knowledge is not the property only of the certain people. That is the hidden meaning of these lines. The poet also wishes for a nation where people are not divided on the basis of caste, color, creed, class, and etc. Here the phrase narrow domestic walls shows us that when the nation, the people of the nation, were free from the barriers of caste, creed, color, then and then the nation, the people rebelled against the oppressive rule of the Britishers. Now we are moving to the next lines. Where words come out from the depth of truth, where tireless striving stretches its arms towards perfection, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habit. It means that the people of such a nation, where the nation is free from any oppressive power, the people of such a nation would be truthful and would speak from the depth of their hearts. And one can speak from the depth of his hearts when he is very confident, when he is going to talk only the truth. In such a country, the people would give their best and hard work, which would ultimately make them achieve their goal of perfection. It is the dream of the poet that he wants his countrymen to have the power of reason and not to give in to age old superstitious beliefs. Here, age old superstitious beliefs means I'll give you one example. For example, the hoot sound made by owls at night is still considered as a bad omen. According to the poet, we must go beyond such a types of superstitions and should develop scientific attitude which leads us on the way of progress, which is expected from the phrase dead habit, dreary desert sand of dead habit, where the mind is fear without any old superstitious belief, then and then one can increase scientific attitude among himself, then and then he can lead himself on the way of progress. Here the poet used tireless starving stretches its arms. Means the countrymen must took the efforts. When the countrymen must took the efforts, then and then they can achieve their final goal. What is the final goal? The final goal is to get the true freedom. And that's why the poet uses the phrase tireless starving stretches its arms. Now move to the next lines. Where the mind is led forward by thee into ever widening thought and action, into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake. By these lines, the poet requests to the Almighty God to guide his countrymen into a heaven of freedom where all that he has prayed for comes true. He also prays to Almighty God to help his countrymen progress so that they become individuals who are logical, progressive and have a broad-minded outlook. Here broad-minded means the ones who always ready to welcome the new concepts without any prejudice. The poet uses the phrase here, heaven of freedom. By using this phrase, the poet expects that we deserve total freedom of good thoughts, good words, and good deeds while respecting those of others. The poet uses THEED word. Here, this word is used in Old English form instead of the word you. In this way, the poet Tagore sketches out the ideal form of freedom and not merely political freedom that he deserves for his countrymen. He aspires to bring about an awakening in a country that is enslaved both politically and intellectually. So students, in this way we have finished here the paraphrase of the poem Where the Mind is Without Fear.